my practice is to see Krishna behind the eyes of every human. And sometimes people will correct me and say, no, 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 you've got it all wrong. Like they're separate. And I'm like, no, they're not. And it's like we get into this like philosophical debate about it. To me that it feels it feels uncomfortable to think of Krishna as separate from beings. And in fact, I think of for example, Mother Teresa and her saying that her goal of service in her life was to look for Jesus, look for Christ in every person. And that's what she was doing when she was serving the poor. She was serving Jesus. And so I think in our tradition, having that similar approach maybe isn't quite as normalized yet in our,
Mm,
do you
mm.
think?
Yeah, yeah. When you mentioned Mother Teresa, that reminded me that she also even told her sisters that we are not expected, do not talk about Jesus to anyone. You have to embody Jesus.
Whoa.
She didn't say we are not here to preach about Jesus. We are here to be Jesus in example. That's our message, so to say, which is the most powerful way, of course, of conveying the teaching. No, like
Yeah.
Saint Francis is say to say something like that. He say, always preach the gospel, and whenever it's necessary, use words.
Right.
So yeah, so go back to your point. Yeah, I agree that we need in our community in particular, and I'm sure in others as well, but I'm talking about mine, and I mentioned that in my book. We need to, so to say, to normalize more this immanence of God, this presence. I mean, God is transcendent for us, but it's immanent as well. So we have this philosophy that in Sanskrit is called Ved Abed, which means everything is God and everything is not necessarily is God at the same time. Like we can say the ray of the sun is the sun, but also it's not the sun. No, it's the sun, but it's not the sun. The ray enters your room, the sun enters your room, but at the same time, the sun didn't enter your room fully, because if not, the room is over. So in the same way, we are God in the sense that we are an energy of God and we are inseparably connected to Him, and He's present everywhere. But at the same time, we are individuals and God is an individual, and that difference, so-called difference, is the one that allows for a loving relationship. Because if
Yeah.
we will be God in every sense of the term, there wouldn't be anyone else to relate to. If everything will be God in every sense of the term, which is not particularly our philosophy. So for us, we are different from God in the sense that each of us have individuality, but that individuality is not a problem. It's what facilitates the possibility of a loving interaction. But again, that difference shouldn't be overemphasized to the point of like we are completely disconnected from the divine or something like that, because that can be problematic. And in our scriptures, that's mentioned. That's generally the view of the beginner practitioner. Right? It's described in the scripture that the beginner practitioner will see God in the altar, in what we may call the deity form, in the altar. He will say, okay, God is here, but he cannot or she cannot see, feel God anywhere else, only in this altar, only my altar. Then the more advanced practitioner will see God in other persons, not only in one altar, in different altars, in a practitioner, in a follower of the tradition, in another person who doesn't follow. And the most advanced practitioner will see God everywhere. No? That person will say where God is not, basically. Instead of asking where is God, he will reply, where is he not? So
Absolutely.
there are degrees of vision and perception of the divine presence.